What is going on, everybody? A2 Angler here, back with another video, and today I'm going to introduce you to my do-it-yourself power box. This is probably one of the top comments on my Instagram, top comments on some of my videos as well. Lots of people are very curious on how I'm powering my GoPros, powering my fish finder, powering pretty much everything on the kayak, and how I went about building that setup and that system. So today, what I'd like to introduce you to is how I built my power box that I bring along in my kayak. So the first question that I get asked almost straight out of the gate is, which box do I buy? And I think that's important for several different reasons. There's lots of different boxes on the market, and we're all looking for probably the best quality, but also the best price. So the box that I'm using, I found at Dunham's actually. I was looking at different cases and I found the Sherlock Security Company. Pretty cheap box, and it was waterproof, and this is a gun case actually. I don't own a gun, I don't use guns, but I thought it was the perfect size for the batteries that I'm using in the kayak. Now, if we open up this box, the first thing you'll notice is that I took out all of the foam that would normally be in a regular, I'm assuming, gun case, so that I could have as much room possible. Right now, I'm holding two 12-volt, 7-amp-hour batteries from Dakota Lithium. Shout out. This is the picture that went pretty much viral in some ways. Dakota Lithium on their Instagram shared the post that I had made this box, shouting it out and giving me credit for it. So thank you, Dakota Lithium. I have used you since the start of my kayak journey. Your batteries have never failed me, and I have really appreciated having the ability to create whatever I need, having the batteries and knowing that they're going to last, that they're durable, and I can pretty much put them through most anything. Now, this case is water resistant. I want to say waterproof, but you never know. Nothing is really 100%, especially when you're on a kayak and in water. So I always do the best I can to make sure that it's water resistant, waterproof, and the way I put it in my kayak matters as well. So I'll normally have this in the hatch or in the front hatch or under my seat, just to give it that little bit of extra protection. So looking into the components of the box that I created here, it's rather simple. There's nothing very complicated about this. I think the hardest thing for me to understand was how to wire two batteries in parallel. So the way I wired these two 7-amp-hour 12-volt batteries together is to put negative to negative and positive to positive. What this is going to do is it's going to actually double your amp hours without doubling your voltage. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of opinions on how to do this and the right way to go about it. I've had some people comment that I've done it right, that I've done it wrong. Hey, it's been 4 years and this system has not failed on me. So I don't care if it's right or wrong, it works. So if you're looking to double your amp hours without doubling the voltage, wire them in parallel. Trust me. This is how I do it. This has worked and it has never failed me. It's also important to know that Dakota Lithium itself says that when you're wiring in parallel, you don't want to use batteries that have different capacities or different voltages. You want to go like for like, double the capacity of your amp hours, and you've got here 14 amp hours in this battery setup. The other thing I want to make sure you know is that the wires that I'm using, I believe, are 14 gauge wires. I'm not an electrician. I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started, but through trial and error, I figured out pretty quickly that thin wires will heat up and sometimes just burn. Larger wires will hold more capacity. I don't know, but I think they let the electricity run without getting too hot. I have found that the 14 gauge is just fine for this amount of power, this amount of juice. I haven't had an issue with it yet. Again, it's been about 4 years, 5 years of fishing out of a kayak using this setup. If you want to go with a larger gauge wire because you're powering something much more than a fish finder or your phone or your GoPro, I would encourage you to look at the specs online and find the right box for you. But this is the setup that I'm using. I took these wires and I made sure that I had the right battery clips for them. And I actually have these here that allow you to have it plugged in and then add the additional wire connectors here. And that is what's going to lead you to the plugs for the kayak and for your whatever it may be that plugs into the Yak power system. Now, the second most important component I would say is the Yak power system. You can wire these batteries with really any wire setup to parallel them, but then what do you run them to? I have used the Yak Power system. I've seen the other FPV system can also work, but it all depends on what can connect to the batteries. So here I have my negative and positive battery terminals. These connect into the battery. There is a fuse in case it needs to blow or you get a surge of energy. This has only really blown on me once, but I think it's because I was connecting way too many things and it tried to draw too much energy or had an energy surge. I blew the fuse and I just replaced the fuse and life was good. At the end of the Yak Power cable is an SAE connector. This connects into this, and this whole system now can run to the SAE plug. Now, the SAE plug on the Yak Power system comes with instructions for how to install it on your kayak. I basically treated the side of the box like the side of my kayak. I installed it relatively easy. I just drilled a hole based on the specs that you need in the instructions. And then I made sure to drill some pilot holes so that I could get the extra hardware to keep this plug on. Also, when I installed it, I've seen a lot of other people do this, is they just take a little bit of that marine goop to make a seal for the plug. And I put that around the plug so that everything is nice and sealed, water resistant, like I said. Not really trusting that everything is waterproof, but making it as hard for water to get in as possible. Now from there, this plug can connect into other SAE plugs that you may have. This can connect to your fish finder. This can connect to the 5-way switch, which is what I use on my kayak. There's another Bluetooth switch that you could use. But this is really nice because then you can run this plug to pretty much anything on your kayak in the front and the back, or wire another plug to go to it and send power everywhere in your kayak that you may need it. So once it comes time to wire up your batteries and get ready for a trip, once you've charged them, this is how I connect everything up. A friend of mine gave me the tip to put Velcro on the bottom of your batteries and put the other side in there. I believe these are like 10-pound Velcro strips. And what's really nice about these is when you put them into the box, they just kind of like adhere to the bottom. And so they're not moving around, they're not bouncing around, especially if you put this in your kayak, put that on the trailer and head out. You're not going to have your batteries bouncing around, so that reduces the amount of damage that might occur in transportation. So these will just click in here into the Velcro. They're set, and now I can lift the box, and these aren't going anywhere. These are 10-pound strips, and you can see how well that holds. That's not going anywhere. And so it's very reliable, and it's very strong, and can help you have that peace of mind that you may need out on the water. The rest of the cables will lay here in the middle. And then what you do is you take your negative to negative, positive to positive, hook that up, and it is ready to go. Last but not least, close the top, seal it up, and ensure that that water resistant seal is nice and tight, and your box is ready to go. The other thing that I like about this Sherlock Security Company box is that it has this knob here. And this knob can unscrew like this. And it goes straight through the side. So I'm assuming, for me at least, that if the pressures are changing in my atmosphere, cold morning to a hot day to a cold night, I assume there must be some pressure that builds up in a box, and you can release that and make sure that it's not building up pressure, is my assumption. But what I really like for this hole is that you can put a GoPro mount, and you can put the GoPro right here, and say you have this in your kayak, you could add accessories to that little connection there. You could put a GoPro, run a GoPro off the back, off the front of your kayak, facing towards you. Or you could put in some other different thing, like maybe a phone holder would be cool. So again, I don't really know why it's there, but I like the ability that I could unscrew that, put in some type of accessory, be it a phone mount or a GoPro mount or some other type of mount. But for the most part, I just leave that thing screwed in there and it's fine. It's never gotten in the way. I just kind of like that it has that ability. Now, real quick before I go, there's a few things that you can also get, like the SAE Yak Power switch. So sometimes on the outside of the box, I'll plug in a switch. I use that for my live scope. So if I ever need to turn my live scope on and off and save battery, I can just have a switch right on the outside of the box. I install that, click it off, and then when I get to my spot and I want to use my live scope, I'll click it on and save some of that battery. Now, once I got that basic box, I think that's like a 13-inch box. I could be wrong. I went on Amazon and I learned that this company, Sherlock Security Company, makes several different size boxes that are really cool. So this is a much bigger box that I found from Sherlock. And what I did with it is, when I was really getting into the different videos that I wanted to make, I needed a lot more juice and a lot more power to both power the kayak and 2 GoPros for long trips. So I bought a bigger box. And if I open it up, you can see that it would have a lot more storage for bigger batteries. So I have 2 18 amp hours that I'll put in here and have up to 36 amp hours of 12 volts running in my kayak. That's enough juice to last me a day, a tournament, and especially while I'm filming. The other thing you'll notice about this box is I put on the Kayak power plug adapters. And I've even put on the XL versions that are built for more of the Blackpack Pro. So you can really take this and run with it as far as you want to create all sorts of different power boxes that are water resistant, waterproof if you really want to say it. But again, those are the boxes that I've been using. Those are the power boxes that I've been building. And for the last 4 years, I haven't had an issue with any of them. And so I know there's people out there that might have their own boxes or their own ideas, but I just wanted to share that with you. I've been meaning to share it for several years. I just haven't had time to sit down and think about how I wanted to show you. I was gonna build this box in a do-it-yourself video, but I really don't think it needs any more explanation. It's very simple to do. You basically buy the components you need, drill a hole, get everything in place, make sure you seal it off with some of that marine goop, and you're ready to rock and roll. So I hope you found this video helpful, or if at the very least informative. You can use this box or any other box that you find to basically create and customize your own power boxes however you like. The one thing I really enjoy about kayak fishing is that everybody comes up with these different modifications for the needs of their fishing. If you're out there doing long days with a screen, live scope, and 2 GoPros, you can't go wrong with a box like this. Although most kayaks nowadays are able to house many different types of batteries. But for those smaller kayaks, like for the most part, I was in a 2019 Hobie Outback for a good part of this last season. These boxes were really great. I could take water over the side and was pretty sure that there wasn't gonna be water in my batteries. My Hobie 2019 Outback sometimes does get water in the hull, as well as my native 12.5. Both get water in the hull, but if I have this box in there, I can basically rest assured that water's not going to get in the box. And in 4 years, it has not been a problem. I have not had water in my box. I have had water in my hull. I've had up to half an inch, maybe an inch of water in the hull with this box just sitting in that water. And I unplug it, I open it up expecting tragedy and just chaos. But it's just bone dry on the inside. If you're a fan of these types of videos, please keep following. I'm gonna try to make some more of these informative style videos for the winter as I start to think about how I'm gonna show you ice fishing here in Michigan and also, prepare for the next season. I am looking to get a little bit more competitive here and especially bring you better content. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those other types of things. And if you're a student, like I always say, I'm pretty sure you got work to do. So get to work.